Good afternoon. For those of you that have been to one of these talks before, thank you for joining us again. For those of you that are new to it, thank you for signing up. My name's Jamie, and I'm the Interventions Manager. And today we'll be looking at building strong teams and recognising value and diversity within teams. Next slide, Carla, please. So for those of you that have been to the talks before, what I aim to do is run through the aims and objectives, and then I need a little something back from you guys as well. So what I'd like you to do is, from the talk today and from everything that you take on board, just commit to one small change in practice. And I think it's really important that we share these changes in practice with each other. So as the talk's going on, there will be things that resonate with you. There'll be things that kind of you'll have a light bulb moment and think, oh, maybe that's something I could adopt in my practice. And please just keep an eye out for that and post that in the chat at any point to let us know what it is that you're going to do and how you're going to benefit from this talk. Sorry, aims and objectives. I'm getting ahead of myself. So at the end of this, I'm hoping you will have a greater understanding of individual strengths and weaknesses and how you can find what those are. I'm hoping that you will be able to identify how collaborative working can enhance performance, and hoping that you can identify the benefits of a diverse team. So this, ultimately, the whole series is about culture change and is about relationships, and the overriding arch of everything that we're doing revolves around something called the 5 C's. So in order to get a culture change, there's got to be clear communication, there's got to be collaboration, and there's got to be consistency. And there's some fantastic work that goes on within the probation service. There are some fantastic practitioners, and it's about us kind of spreading the word that in order for us to be more efficient and more effective, then we need to work collectively, collaboratively. We need to be consistent in what we're doing, and we need to communicate clearly between each other and have honest and transparent conversations. The next slide, Carla, please. So within high performing teams, and there'll be high performing teams in sport, in business, in finance, in services, and there'll be several high performing teams within the probation service. And in order for them to be a high performing team and have a really positive culture, as I've just stated, the 3 aspects, the communication, the collaboration, and the consistency, need to be aligned. And by being aligned, in order for them to perform at their highest level, each person will have individual strengths and they will have individual roles. So I suppose for me, the easiest way of kind of going into it was looking at a football team. So within a football team, there will be a formation. The goal of that team will be aligned. So the outcome is obviously trying to win the game. The philosophy and the tactics that they're going to use is what they're going to use for that particular game. And then within that team, there will be a number of strengths, and they will all be different. So your goalkeeper will have completely different strengths to your central midfielder. Your central midfielder will have completely different strengths to your centre forward. For those of you that are into football, that'll make a hell of a lot of sense. But in terms of, it's finding the right people for the right roles within the team, and it's working towards people's strengths and highlighting their strengths as opposed to the negative. So if we focus on people's strengths and what they do well, we can help to formulate the role that they do. And it's something worthwhile within all teams. And that those teams that are performing at the highest level, they have an overarching goal, they have individual roles, they have individual strengths, and they're all pulling and working and achieving towards that goal. The next slide, Carla, please. So in terms of high performing teams, you won't get much more of a high performing team than the team in the picture. Manchester City are an incredible team with an incredible leader, and they've done incredible things in the football world. And there'll be many teams like this in all sorts of different industries. But what they do well is they will focus on the strengths of the individuals within their team, and they will play towards that. And I know that's an easy analogy within sport, but it can be transferred into, you know, the services, into business, into finance, into all sorts of situations. And highlighting people's strengths and playing towards those strengths can only help the team perform better. So within that high performing team, there will be clear communication, and that will be both positive and negative. When people are doing their job particularly well, there'll be praise that goes with that. When people are struggling with a particular role, they'll have help and support in order to improve in that role. But that communication for that needs to be clear. Collaboration, again, no one individual player can win trophies on their own. It's got to be a group effort. There has to be collaboration. A centre forward can't score 30 goals in a season without the service coming from the other players. Likewise, a goalkeeper can't keep a clean sheet if his defence is not doing the work around him. So collaboration is really key, and you'll see some excellent pockets of practice going on within your own service. And collaborating that and working with others and sharing best practice is a way that we can improve our own performance and the performance of that in our teams. Consistency, again, you're not going to win any trophies without being consistently good. Yes, we are all human and we do make mistakes from time to time. Yes, that was me admitting that too. But generally, you've got to be consistent in what you do. If you want to change your physique, you've got to consistently turn up at the gym and go through a series of exercises. If you want to lose weight and you're looking at your diet, you've got to be disciplined and consistent in what you're eating. So within this overarching frame of a culture change, communication, collaboration, and consistency are key parts to any level of success. Also, within the Manchester City dressing room, there will be non-negotiable behaviours. I've made a little bit of a typo there. And those non-negotiable behaviours are something that everybody does on a day-to-day basis. It's what's expected. You consistently turn up, you give 100%, you do your hours, and that's non-negotiable. That's you're going to give your all. Again, within high-performing teams, there will be honesty. Sometimes, it may be that people need to be told something that's not particularly pleasant, but as long as it's done in the right way, people appreciate honesty. Transparency, trust. And again, within sports teams and other teams, there will be different roles, different strengths and different experiences. And all of that will add to the performance of the team. If you look at that particular Manchester City team, their leader is Spanish. They have a really diverse group of players that come from all parts of Europe, Africa, the United Kingdom. And what they have is an aligned goal. They have clear strengths for those individual roles within the team. They have different strengths that complement each other along the way. And they all have different experiences which they can bring to the table as well. And those experiences help you through particularly tough times. Because as you're probably aware, not everything goes to plan. Life doesn't always go in a straight line. There are things that you will need to overcome and obstacles. And it's about looking at obstacles in a way that's positive. And by that, I mean, okay, so that can be an issue, but what's the solution? Rather than focusing on the fact that something's been slowed down, there's been some kind of barrier, and it's like, oh, where do we go now with this? Always look for something in terms of a solution and moving forward. And a lot of the time, it's our outlook that enables us to move forward. Next slide, Carla, please. So the benefits of diverse teams, and by diverse, I mean people from different backgrounds, people of different ages, different experiences. So research suggests that diverse teams have improved innovation. You have a different range of ideas in order to problem solve, coming from a number of different people from different experiences, different industries, different backgrounds. Within the probation service, you'll have got people who, in some instances, have lived experience. In some instances, may have come from business or the corporate world. In some instances, may have come from the prison system. So in terms of being innovative, that should really help. Diverse teams encourage open-mindedness, which again comes from the different experiences and the different backgrounds, and being willing to listen to others. you know, that there can be more than one road to a particular destination, and that's fine. And certain things work for some people and certain things don't. But having the open-mindedness and the ability to try certain things is, you know, one of the benefits of those diverse teams. It will also improve company reputation. Your problem solving ability will be enhanced, and it creates opportunity for personal growth. And by that, I mean, there will be some fantastic people in your offices who've had some fantastic experiences, and that's staff, and that might be people who come in as well. And we can always learn from others. There's always something that we can learn from somebody else, whether that's something really simple, really basic, or something a little bit more profound. There's always something. And if we take the time to listen to others, take on board ideas, be brave in what we're doing and try different things, then that personal growth will come along with being part of a diverse team. The next slide, Carla, please. More benefits of a diverse team will be a wider range of skills. And again, we've spoke about the probation service and the different types of people that are in it and where they've come from and how they've managed to get into that service. Improved creativity, again, comes from different ideas, different people, different backgrounds. This is one that kind of really resonates with me and is often the sign of a really good service or company, and that's a reduction in employee turnover. If you treat your staff well, if the staff feel valued and the staff feel appreciated and the terms and conditions of what they do are good, and there's a really good sort of culture and mindset within the service, then you're going to keep hold of people. For me, it's a concern with a really sort of fast staff turnover, because people get into the industry in order to help others. They get into it because they want to succeed. Nobody comes into it, you know, to leave 6 months later, 12 months later, 24 months later. So in order to keep the best people that we have, we've got to make sure that there's opportunity for growth, that they're appreciated, that they're praised, that their work is rewarding. And this industry is a hell of a rewarding industry, but it can also be a very frustrating industry. And I think at times we need to remember the why in terms of why we're in it. And if we are keeping hold of the better staff and those more experienced staff and those that are really motivated and people that really want to make a change, then that can only be a positive. But that happens through using people's strengths to improve the efficiency and the effectiveness of that team. Diverse teams are more relatable. Go back one, Carla, sorry. They're culturally more sensitive and they're quicker to resolve conflict, which is all benefits of people coming from different backgrounds and different experiences. Next slide, Carla, please. Value in your team, again, really, really important for me in terms of, you know, having a successful team. And you read a lot of it, particularly in sport. There's a real kind of research and emphasis on not viewing people as footballers or basketballers or American footballers, whatever the sport may be, viewing people as people. And that's a really important aspect, as well as the job they do. What about the whole person? So when you're working with people, and again, I've been guilty of this in the past, you know, you will work alongside some really fantastic people, some people that you'll be in touch with for life, some people that do a really fantastic job. But within that, how often do you express your gratitude? How often do you send somebody an email saying how fantastic they are or how much they've helped you? How often do you genuinely just say thank you? How often do you bring somebody a chocolate bar? And again, it's only little things, but it's showing that gratitude and appreciation for others. Within your team, have you taken the time to get to know an individual member? You know, do you know what their home life's like? Some people might not want to share that, and that's absolutely fine. But if you genuinely take an interest in somebody, that relationship and engagement can be enhanced through that. Are we encouraging learning and growth? Are we encouraging? And again, if you've taken anything from these talks, please recommend them to colleagues. Please recommend them to other people. We've got many people that sign up. We've got many people that attend. And that message will be spread along. But let's encourage other people to learn things and grow and develop, and let's do that collectively. Do you celebrate success? And again, simple little things. I've been guilty of this in the past. When somebody who you're working with gains employment, how do you celebrate that success? And I'm not saying take them for a drink or a meal. That's not what I'm saying. But how is that celebrated within your team of people? At the start of your team meetings, do you start things off with good news stories? All right. An easy, simple, effective way of sharing and celebrating success within your team. I went into a recruitment agency not too long ago, and every time somebody gets a job within that recruitment agency, there's a bell, and people ring the bell, and their names are put up on the wall. They call it a wonder wall, a wall of success. And again, these are just little things. You've got to figure out what's right for you and your team. I'm just giving you some ideas in terms of how perhaps you could do that. Do you share best practice and positive feedback? It's really important. If somebody gives you some positive feedback, how's that shared with the rest of the team? If you've got a resource that is particularly useful, that's worked particularly well, how is that shared within a team? Do you have a Teams channel that you can share that on? Do you email it to your colleagues? Again, these are just things for you to kind of think about in terms of how do we do this? And if we're not doing it at the moment, and I get it, sometimes we get bogged down with all the paperwork, the politics, the frustration. But these talks are about reminding you of why you're here, reminding you about the great job that you do, and working within a team to get the best out of each other. And let's face it, those teams that work best are happy doing what they're doing. You spend a hell of a lot of time at work and with the people that you're working with. So elements of joy and happiness and celebration, for me, have got to be part of it. Yes, there are going to be times when it can be frustrating and things are difficult. I get that. But when they are good, or when you're working with people who are good, or when you appreciate something, can we make a little bit more of an effort to share that? Considering the work-life balance and well-being of staff, do you look after each other? Do you genuinely ask how people are? Do you sit and listen? Do you support each other? A lot of that will go on naturally, and that's great if it does. But in other instances, what are you doing to safeguard the well-being of staff? And this may not be your role directly, but it's a conversation that you could have. So again, there are things encouraging people to take lunch breaks. Again, that may be something that is or isn't possible within that service. Can you get out for a walk? Can you take your emails off your personal phone? Again, it's just looking at how we can look after each other and ourselves. Does the team that you're in allow for open and honest communication? Are you able to be honest with each other, or do you fester it and, not necessarily say anything and become really frustrated? Because successful teams are able to be honest with each other. Sometimes it might be difficult to say the things that you're thinking, and you perhaps got to think about the way that you say it. But people in life love honesty. And although sometimes they may not like what you're saying, they will definitely respect what you're saying. And likewise, do you ask for feedback? And I think we're all guilty of this at times. We tend to ask for feedback from those where we kind of know it will be positive. But what about those that haven't had a particularly good experience? The way that we evolve and the way that we grow is through correcting things that could possibly be even better. And again, it's about the language you use. It's kind of feedback that will make us even better. So the next slide, Carla, please. I think I'm getting ahead of myself again. So again, in terms of reflection tools in education, we used to use a number of those that are listed. So the first one, KISS, which I went through last week, is 4 simple questions. All right. You can reflect on any team, any individual, any practice based on KISS. Right. 4 questions. What do we need to keep doing that's working really well? What do we need to improve? What do we need to start doing? And what do we need to stop doing? And you can do those in meetings. You can do those individually. You can do those collectively. You can give those to people on probation. Really simple, honest way of getting feedback. In terms of education again, we used to do what works well. So again, you can just have bullet pointed answers, really simple for people to respond. What works well, all right, have a list. And then even better if. There's no derogatory angle to even better if. You're not calling it a weakness. You're not calling it, problem. You're saying, okay, this is what works well, and this is even better if. So the language promotes positivity in itself. A SWOT analysis I'm going to go into next week. So simply a SWOT analysis is looking at your internal and external strengths as a team. And it stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's a really good reflection tool for both individuals and for teams. But I'm going to go into that a little bit further next week. So if any of this interests you at the moment, please make sure that you sign up for next week. Next slide, Carla, please. Wonderful. And the final message from me is to you guys, and that is keep believing in what you're doing. Keep being brave, because the job that you're doing is making a difference. It is. All right. It may be in small pockets. It may not be as quickly as you would like it to, but you are making a difference to a number of people's lives. And the more people that we can get involved in the talks, the more people that we can spread the word to, the more people that we can pass our information on to, the more team meetings this affects, the more people that engage in what we're doing, the better and the more impactful the change will be. So from me to you, keep believing, keep being brave, keep being kind, keep showing the empathy that you do, keep being positive, which I know at times is very difficult, keep trusting your judgment, keep believing in your ability to do your job, keep believing in the ability of others to do theirs and for things to change and people to commit to change, keep working collaboratively, and keep encouraging, inspiring, changing, and motivating the people that you work with. Because take it from me, there is some fantastic work that goes on. There are some fantastic people in this service. And what we need to do is spread that word and make sure it is more impactful.